Hello everyone, Tim back for another Minecraft statue tutorial. Today we're going to be building Riot from the first Venom movie. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So to build Riot, you're going to need sandstone stairs, gray concrete powder, gray concrete, terracotta, polished tough slab, smooth sandstone, red concrete, smooth sandstone slab, white terracotta, white concrete, and polished blackstone button. So to get started on Riot, we're going to do 1 gray concrete powder, 1 gray concrete, 1 concrete powder, 1 gray concrete, sorry, then 2 gray concrete powders, then 1 gray concrete, then 1 concrete powder. We're going to place a sandstone stair in front of this powder, this one, and then this one, leaving that one exposed. For the next row, this is from left to right, of course, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, a terracotta, and then 5 gray concretes. Next we're going to do a gray concrete, a terracotta, a concrete powder, 3 gray concretes, powder, concrete. Next row, 1 powder, 4 concretes, terracotta, concrete, terracotta. Next row, we're going to do 5 gray concretes, powder, terracotta, concrete. Next row, 1 concrete, 1 terracotta, 1 concrete, 1 powder, 4 concretes. Next row, 1 concrete, 1 powder, 2 terracottas, 3 concretes, 1 powder. Next row, 3 concretes, 1 powder, 1 concrete, 1 terracotta, 2 concretes. Next row, 1 concrete, 1 terracotta, 3 concretes, 1 powder, sorry, 1 concrete, 1 terracotta. Next row, we're going to do 1 powder, 1 concrete, 1 terracotta, 2 concretes, 1 terracotta, 1 concrete, 1 powder. For the next row, we're going to do 4 gray concretes. We're then going to do 1 powder, and then 3 gray concretes. And then the final row of the legs, you're going to do 3 gray concretes, 2 terracottas, 1 gray concrete, 1 gray concrete powder, and then 1 gray concrete. So there we go. Let's just go ahead and do the torso. So for the torso, we're going to do 1 powder, 2 gray concretes, 2 powders, 2 gray concretes, 1 powder. Next row, 1 powder, 1 terracotta, 1 powder, 2 gray concretes, 1 powder, 1 concrete, 1 powder. Next row, we're going to do 1 powder, 1 concrete, 4 powders, 1 concrete, 1 powder. Next we're going to do a terracotta, then a concrete, then a powder, then 2 concretes, then a powder, then a terracotta, then a concrete. Next row we're going to do 2 gray concretes, then 4 powders, and then 2 gray concretes. Next row we're going to do 2 gray concretes, a powder, 2 gray concretes, a powder, 2 gray concretes. And then the next row we're going to do 3 gray concretes, 2 powder, 3 gray concretes. And from here, we're pretty much just going to build it up. So we're going to place 2 gray concretes right next to these powders here. And then, yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to build this up to give us a template to work off of. This is like the big muscle mass on them. Like that. So we're going to go up an additionals at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Like that. So we got these 2 gray concretes here. We're going to place a slab, polished tough slab next to those. And we're also going to place polished tough slabs on the upper half of these, just so these powders don't fall that we're about to place. We're going to place a 2x3 square of powder here. And then an entire row right here and right here. On this side, we're going to place a terracotta and then 2 gray concretes. We're then going to just fill the rest of this in with gray concrete. We're going to do 3 powders here and then 3 gray concretes. And then just fill this in with gray concrete. On this side, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, a terracotta here as well, gray concrete each side of this, and then fill this in, and then do an entire row of powder, and then an entire row of concrete, which will give us this. So that is the front of the torso done. Moving to the arms are going to start on this row right here. We're going to do 2 smooth sandstones, and then 2 gray concretes. Next, we're going to do a powder, and then 3 gray concretes. Next, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, a terracotta, gray concrete. Next, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, powder, gray concrete. Next, we're going to do a terracotta, 3 gray concretes. Next, we're going to do a concrete, powder, 2 gray concretes. Next, we're going to do 4 gray concretes. We're going to place a gray concrete right here. Next, we're going to do a powder, and then 3 gray concretes. We're going to place a gray concrete here, and then the terracotta here. And then we can just go ahead and build the rest of the arm up with gray concretes that we're going to build off of. To outline where the muscles are going to go, we're just going to place 2 gray concretes right here. We're going to place a terracotta on top here, and then a gray concrete here. We're going to place a powder here, and then the rest is gray concrete. Next year, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, powder, concrete, and then the final row, leave this block open. We're going to place 2 gray concretes and then a terracotta. So there's that arm. Moving to the other one, we are going to do 2 smooth sandstones and then 2 gray concretes. We're going to place from left to right, gray concrete, powder, terracotta, concrete. Next row, entirely concrete. Next row, 3 concrete, powder. Next row, terracotta, 3 concrete. Next row, entirely concrete. Next row, 2 concretes, powder, terracotta. Next row, entirely concrete, and then we can just make the rest of the arm gray concrete. Like that. We're then going to place a gray concrete right here, then 2 right on top here. Then we're going to do 2 gray concretes, terracotta, gray concrete. Then we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. That is the wrong block. Then we're going to do a terracotta, 2 gray concretes, then a powder. Then we're going to do a gray concrete, terracotta, gray concrete, and that will give us the front of the statue completely done, minus the head, of course. Now, if we want to get really into it, we can place 4 gray concretes right here, which is the bottom of the head. So, but moving on, let's move on to the left side here. So for the left side, we're going to take it back by 3 with the gray concrete. From left to right, we're going to do 2 gray concretes, terracotta. Next row, gray concrete, powder, gray concrete. Next row, entirely gray concrete. Next row, terracotta, 2 gray concretes. Next row, 2 gray concretes, powder. Next row, entirely gray concrete. Next row, powder, 2 gray concretes. Next row, gray concrete, terracotta, gray concrete. Next 2 rows are entirely gray concrete. And then the final row is terracotta, powder, gray concrete. This is what you should have for this side. Moving along to, let's do that arm while we're over here. We're going to do the underneath here. This row is gray. We're going to place terracotta here, then gray, and then we'll just fill all this in as we go. So we're going to replace this block with the terracotta, and then for left to right, we're going to do 2 rows of gray concrete. We're going to do gray concrete, powder, gray concrete. Then we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. Then we're going to do 2 gray concrete, powder. We're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. We're going to do terracotta, 2 gray concrete. Then we're going to do gray concrete, powder, gray concrete. And we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete, and then gray concrete, terracotta, gray concrete, and then an entire row of gray concrete. And then kind of like we did on the Venom statue, we're just going to bring all of these forward by 1 here. Like that. It's a little different than Venom, but mostly the same. You know what? Let's just replace that with the powder. So there we go. So moving on to the other arm. I guess we'll do the arm before we do the leg. We're going to just fill in the bottom of this with gray concrete. We're going to replace this with the terracotta. And then we're from left to right, we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. Then we're going to do 1 gray concrete, 1 powder, 1 gray concrete. Then we're going to do 2 rows of gray concrete. Then we're going to do 2 gray concretes, then a powder. Then we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. Then we're going to do actually no, we're going to make that powder there, sorry. Next we're going to do entirely gray concrete, and then let's just go ahead and fill the rest in. Then right here we're going to place 2 gray concretes. For the next row we're going to do 2 gray concretes, powder, concrete. Next row entirely concrete. Next row powder, 3 gray concretes. Or no, concrete, powder, 2 gray concretes. And then just 2 gray concretes on the top here. And then for the leg, going back, we're going to place a concrete, terracotta, concrete. Next row, 2 gray concretes, and then a powder. Next 2 rows are entirely gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place concrete, powder, concrete. Next row, entirely concrete. Next row, 2 gray concretes, and then a terracotta. Next row is entirely gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place a concrete, then a powder, then a concrete. Next row, we're going to place entirely concrete. Next row, 2 gray concretes, powder, and then next row, terracotta, 2 gray concretes. Like that. For the back of the legs, we are going to do 2 gray concretes, terracotta, 3 gray concretes. Left to right, of course. Next row, we're going to do an entire row of gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place 4 gray concretes, then a terracotta, or not a terracotta, powder, then a concrete. Next row, we're going to place an entire row of gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place a gray concrete, powder, rest is gray concrete. Next row is entirely concrete. Next row, we're going to place 3 concretes, powder, 2 concrete. Next row is entirely concrete. Next we're going to place a concrete, terracotta, rest is concrete. Next we're going to place 5 concretes, or no, 4, sorry. Then a terracotta, then a concrete. Next we're going to place entirely concrete. And then the final row we're going to do 3 concretes, powder, 2 concretes, and that will give us the back of the legs completely finished. Excuse me. For the back of the arms, we're going to replace this block with the terracotta here. We'll do the left arm first. From left to right, we're going to do a powder, 2 concretes. Next row is entirely concrete. Next we're going to do a concrete, then a terracotta, then a concrete. Next 3 rows are entirely concrete. Next, we're going to place a terracotta and then 2 gray concretes, and then we can just fill in the rest with gray concrete. We're going to place a gray concrete here, 1 on top and 1 to the left. We're then going to place 2 right here with a terracotta here and a powder here. We're going to place a powder right here with 2 gray concretes going up right here, and then 2 right here as well. We're going to place 2 right here, and then a powder on top, and then just 3 right in here. For the other arm, we are going to go from left to right. We're going to place 2 gray concretes, powder. We're going to do an entire row of concrete. We're going to do 1 concrete, 1 terracotta, 1 concrete. Then we're going to do, actually, let's move that terracotta over by 1. Next, we're going to do entire row of concrete. Then we're going to do 2 gray concretes, then the terracotta. Next, we're going to do a concrete powder, and then a concrete. And then we can just fill the rest in with gray concrete. We're going to place a gray concrete right here, 2 right here, 2 on top of those like that, and then a terracotta here, and then a concrete next to that. And then we're going to fill pretty much the rest of this in with gray concrete, minus this block right here, which is going to make a powder, which will give us this. And then for the actual back of the statue, we are going to do 3 gray concretes, terracotta, 4 gray concretes. Next row, we're going to do a powder, then the rest is gray concrete, the rest, the 7 remaining. Next row, we're going to do a gray concrete, terracotta, 3 gray, terracotta, powder, concrete. Next row is entirely gray concrete. Next, we're going to do a concrete, a powder, a concrete, a terracotta. The rest is concrete. The next row is we are going to do a terracotta, 4 gray concretes, powder, terracotta, concrete, and then we can just make the rest entirely concrete because we're going to build the muscles back here. Because obviously these guys are a lot bigger than normal humans, but I didn't really want to mess with the proportions. What we're going to do now is we're going to do 1, 2 gray concretes, then a terracotta here, and then make the rest concrete. Kind of join those together. Next row, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 concretes, and then a powder, and then 2 concretes, and then a terracotta. Next row, we're going to do a concrete, then a terracotta, make the rest concrete. Next row, we're going to do a concrete, a powder, 3 concretes, a powder, and then 2 concretes. Next row, we're going to do a powder, then 2 concretes, then a terracotta, then 3 concretes, then a powder. Next row, we're going to do 4 concretes, then a powder, then 3 concretes. And then for the shoulder blades up here, we are going to make this a powder here. And then we are going to do, what's that, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to make this a terracotta, and then we're just going to fill in the rest of this with gray concrete. And then for this shoulder blade, we are going to make this a terracotta, and then this a powder, and then just fill the rest in with gray concrete. For the back of the head, we'll just go ahead and do this while we're back here. Extend it by 1, just since we're technically over by 2. We're going to replace this block with a terracotta here. Next row, we're going to place a powder right here, and then make the rest gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place a terracotta on the end right here, and then make the rest gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place 2 gray concretes, powder, rest is gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place a powder, 6 gray concretes, powder. Next, we're going to place 2 gray concretes, terracotta, 2 gray concretes, powder, 2 gray concretes. Next row is entirely gray concrete. Next, we're going to do 4 gray concretes, terracotta, 2 gray concretes, terracotta. Moving on to the left side, we are going to drag this gray concrete pretty much all the way up until we hit this block. We're going to replace this block with a powder. Next row, we're going to place gray concretes right here, And we're going to drag it all the way back to this block and make this a powder. Next row, we're going to place a gray concrete right here, and then just drag it all the way back. Next row, we're going to place a gray concrete here, powder behind, and then 2 gray concretes. We're then going to drag this next row all the way up, like that. Next row, we're going to do a white concrete, then 2 grays, then a powder, then 3 grays. Next we're going to do 2 white concretes, then we're going to do 3 gray concretes, then a powder, then a gray concrete. And then the final row we're going to do 2 gray concretes, powder, 2 gray concretes, terracotta, then gray concrete. Moving to the other side, we're going to place a powder right here, and then make the rest gray concrete coming up to here. Next we're going to place 2 gray concretes, then a terracotta. Then we're going to place 2 additional gray concretes, then a powder, then a gray concrete. Next we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 gray concretes. Next we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 3 gray concretes, then a powder. Next we're going to make entirely gray concrete. Next row, we're going to do a white concrete on this end, and then the rest is just gray concrete. Next row, we're going to do 2 white concretes right here. Leave a space of 2 with gray concretes, then a gray concrete powder, and then 2 gray concretes. We're then going to do 4 gray concretes right here, then a powder, then 2 gray concretes, sorry. On the top here, starting from the back, we're going to do a powder right here, so place a block underneath. Make the rest gray concrete. Next row, we're going to do a gray concrete here. Then we're going to place a powder right here with the block underneath, and then just make the rest gray concrete. Next row is entirely gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place a gray concrete, then a terracotta, then the rest is gray concrete. Next row, we're going to place 2 gray concretes, then a powder with a block underneath, then the rest is gray concrete. And then the next row we're going to place entirely gray concrete. And then the first row, or the front row, we're going to place a gray concrete right here with a powder on top. Then 2 gray concretes, then a terracotta, then 2 gray concretes. And so now on to the front. So for this row right here, we're going to place 5 gray concretes. And then a white concrete right here with a powder on top. This next row, we're going to place a white concrete, then a gray concrete, then a gray concrete right here with a powder on top. And then we're just going to place 2 additional gray concretes with that white there, obviously. Next, we're going to do 2 additional white concretes, this gray, another gray, then 2 more whites. Next we're going to do 6 grays right here in the middle. And then we're going to get out our polished blackstone button. And we're going to place 2 just right there. Right underneath this, we're going to place 2 facing inward stairs with a slab on each side. We are then going to drag this gray concrete in by 1 and then down by 1. We're going to place a powder here. Let's do the same thing on this side. Like that. We're going to place a stair on top of the powders. And then a stair right here and a red concrete right here. We're going to place a slab right here and a stair right here. And then upside down stair here. And before we shut this off, we're going to go ahead and just fill in all of this with red. Red concrete, of course. Come on, let me out. Thank you. Like that. Which will give us this. And the final little touch we're going to do is we're going to take this red concrete out by 1, go down by 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then up here we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, which will give us his tongue, and that will be the final product for your statue, you guys. So let me get rid of my hand here. And there we have it. So that is Riot, you guys. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. And yeah, so thank you guys all so much for watching. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.